these next 3 games, wins are important, and you always want to stack wins. They're non-conference, non-division games. Carolina and Falcons are conference games, but they're non-division games. So they're important, and you need wins. You got to stack wins, especially after leaving 2 on the board against the Broncos and the Bears. But neither one of these next 3 matchups are really game-changing or season-changing. You got to win the division games. That's what I care most about. So, what's your plan if you're in charge of these D linemen? What's your kind of plan of action for the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, I'm going with Kerry Hyder and Charles Omenihu on the inside as the kind of the guys who rotate through. I would probably, you see what because you got Teray, he can play. Drake Jackson can play on the edge, and we saw that a little bit in this game. I think those guys can help, and Teray's proven to be pretty good against the run on the edge. So I think I would roll with them and then just see how Armstead is. If Armstead isn't healthy, this would be a good opportunity to rest him over the next couple weeks and get him ready for Kansas City. Same with Kindle. If it's flared up, let him rest. Do what you got strength at the D line right now. Go with that. And then I think what you need is to win those 2 games, because then if you split with Kansas City and the Rams, you're ending going into the bye week at 5-3. And I think after the start you had, you can be pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and Josh showing in NASCAR packages, Drake was getting some inside snaps, and that's the thing. You got, there are a lot of guys. I thought Kerry Hyder was funny inside. He got pancaked a couple times and washed down a couple times, but his effort is always going to be on point. So it's a different type of D line than what you're used to, but I think it might be enough. I do think that Spence will be called up. At least he should be. And I don't know. I still don't think it's the biggest need on this team. The problem I have is stacking injuries, right? You've got 2 left tackles out. You've now got 3 defensive tackles out. So you're stacking these injuries in the same position, 2 running backs guys out. Like, that's where it gets bad. Not that the 49ers are second worst in the NFL as far as just games and snaps missed so far with injuries, which is already bad. But when they're stacked at crucial positions, that's where it catches up to you. And that's what we saw in 2020. We're only a quarter of the way into the season, a lot of injuries, but there's teams all have injuries. 49ers always have more than others. I don't know. I feel good about where the Niners are, but there are a couple just like little asterisks in there, like, let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens here. Now, okay, let's change directions real quick before we jump out of here. What is your kind of general outlook or trajectory of the season right now after this Rams win? How do you see the season compared to a week ago?
I saw it the same way, because I thought that winning against the Rams meant that you were in first in the division and that you were in control. And I think that's what the thing. It thrust them right back into control. I kind of equated it to a earlier version of last year when they were 3-5 and they needed to beat the Rams. It just happened a little bit early in the year, so maybe they'll end up with a better record, and a better seed in the playoffs. But other than that, I thought it was, pretty par for the course, because I thought execution-wise was the issue. They just weren't executing consistently every player. And you see when they do it, they have big plays. So it was all about execution. I think Kyle has figured it out a little bit earlier than he did last year. I think that's good for this team, because overall, I always thought they were a 10-11 win football team. And with this defense, they're always in those games. So I think that's realistic. And the fact that you have some of the AFC West teams that were going to be really tough not looking so great, you might even be able to pick up some extra wins, like against the Chargers and Raiders, which would have been extremely difficult on the onlook of the season.
Yep. I like it, man. I'm excited about this year. And if they take care of business on these back-to-back games on the East Coast, man, 4-2 in a, kind of drained out NFC and NFC West, you're in good position right there. 49ers got to take care of business. You cannot allow bad teams to hang around. You got to finish those games, and I think that they can.
The 49ers Rush Podcast.